Coming up right now, a Powerball winner claims he was denied a huge jackpot because of a website mistake.
Also coming up, an Olympic equestrian may have jeopardized his spot at the 2024 Olympics for wearing a risque mankini to a charity event.
All right, a little bit later on, find out why a convict went back to jail the same day he was released and why he claims it was a transportation mishap.
Oh, okay. Daily Flash starts right now.
Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Jackson.
I am Mitch English, welcoming you to Daily Flash for an hour filled with all kinds of greatness. You do not want to go anywhere. Lately, I have been eating way too much sushi. Like the wife is a huge sushi fan.
Really?
We're eating it at least once or twice a week. I'm getting a little burnt out. Matt, have you got any foods you're eating? New foods?
See, I'm trying to slim down for the wedding coming up.
Sure.
So now I'm going to a heavy vegetable diet, and I hate every single second of it, and I don't know how these people do it. I'm going to try to cut, because I've been eating everything the last month. Everything. So I'm trying to go to a vegan deal for the next 2 weeks.
You just come over to the
Why?
house.
Just eat what you want.
Come over to the house. You're going to eat broccoli every night.
Oh, I know.
At my house.
I've seen you be forced to.
I'm eating broccoli.
Oh.
But no, well, that's good. Yeah,
I got to trim up. You know, I don't want to be fatty in the pictures.
no one does. No one does.
but-
You do all that like a year from now. You give up, trust me. You don't care what
You're a
look
year
like
in,
anymore.
so-
I'm a year in last week. Yeah.
You surrender.
You surrender.
You
That's a
surrender.
good way.
Yeah, a
Just
friend of
like-
mine once said that. It's like, I don't give up in a relationship, I just surrender.
I like that.
Speaking of relationships, the tech bros, they've got a lot of extra dough, right?
Sure.
A lot of extra money, but they oftentimes are unlucky in love. Hard to find a good girl
Right.
sometimes. So this one tech bro has decided what he's going to do is offer a dating bounty, and several of his friends have been involved with it. So
Okay.
he's saying, here's $10,000 if you can find me my forever life partner. And several other guys have come forward and said, you know what, that's not a bad idea. That's how startups happen. You invest in
Well, that's a good point.
something and then you pay back slowly. So he's got all sorts of payment plans for anyone who sets him up with his life partner.
It's a kind of Pretty Womanish kind of, you think about where,
yeah.
I mean, well, the reason I say that is like, okay, for 10 grand, you can act, this is what he likes, this is what he
Yeah.
does. Just act like that until I get the money and then you can be yourself.
He's got a profile, so a friend of him, he's got all his friends looking for him
Okay.
for the love, and he's willing to give the money if they find the one
love
that he
that idea.
totally gels with.
Well, yeah, and he'll probably spend that money looking on his own anyway. So
Possible.
I could totally
I
see how
paid
that
for the
works.
premium Hinge account, and that's how I got my fiance.
Which
the
is actually
premium.
10 grand, I believe.
It's getting there. Once we
things
get
are
past the
expensive.
wedding.
I knew Bumble was like really expensive. I was like, I can find a woman on my own. I'm not gonna pay this.
I just have to remind Leah every time I go, you were worth the $30.
Oh, aren't you a keeper?
I would have went with the year rate.
Oh, well, I was
Yeah.
trying it for
Not
90
the
days, see what
monthly.
happens.
At least you can round up to 50.
Yeah, I would have said, yeah. There you go, I love that. Speaking of money, a Powerball player claims that he was actually denied a life-changing jackpot worth of $340 million, despite his numbers actually matching the lottery's website. The company claims the winning numbers posted on the website was a mistake. His name's John Cheeks. He bought a Powerball ticket back in January 2023. He missed the live drawing on TV and instead checked his numbers the following day online. He says that all the numbers match the ones posted on his website. He's freaking out. He's like, I can't believe this. I did this. He tried to cash in on the ticket. He said, no, you don't really have a winning ticket. John has since hired an attorney who believes something needs to be done for his client to make up for the website error. The ticket remains in a safe deposit box in the event the Lotto committee actually makes a change. Very unlikely. And here's the thing, those numbers, what if it's like numbers that you've always used?
Yeah.
And knowing, well, you can't ever use that number again, what's the odds of it actually, those same numbers
Yeah.
popping up?
And there's something in the small print that says, look, if the numbers on the website aren't exactly the ones we talked about or we released the night before during the live Powerball
Yeah.
thing, you're out of luck.
The misprints of anything. Imagine back in the day the newspaper was the thing, but now website is the same way.
I can't imagine thinking you
be
won
so-
$340 million.
Hopefully he didn't buy anything first. Like, we're going out to dinner tonight.
It's already spent. I already
what if
put
it's
money
like-
down on a Ferrari, and I'm like, wait, what? Uh-oh.
Goodness. Well, an Olympic equestrian may have jeopardized his spot at the 2024 Paris Games for wearing a mankini during a recent charity event. Shane Rose, who is a 3-time Olympic champ for Australia, was immediately sidelined because of his Borat costume. The 50-year-old equestrian posted a photo of himself on Instagram in the mankini, as well as a gorilla suit and a beer costume. Complaints were made after Rose appeared in the man thong because young kids were attending the horse show. Rose captured silver at the 2008, 2020 Olympics in Beijing and Tokyo. He also won bronze at the 2016 Olympics in Rio. The final selections for the Australian equestrian Olympic team will be revealed in June. And here's the thing, there are often these charity events at horse shows where the top riders will dress up in costume, they'll dress up their horse, and it's all to raise money.
Okay, but he was wearing a mankini. I didn't see a mankini on the horse, so that's,
that's
good.
true.
That I would be offended by that.
A lot more fabric.
But is a Borat costume really a costume? I mean, it's really just dental floss or just a piece of thin fabric. Is that really like dressing up?
I feel like that's one of those sports you don't want to do in a mankini, like golf or paintball
Yes.
or baseball, like anything where it's flying at you or it's like impact.
Excellent point, Matt. You
right.
want some extra padding, I think. Yeah, Mitch is
It
like
hurts.
thinking about
I'm
that
thinking
one.
about how that has to hurt.
A 23-year-old man was released from prison in Arizona and promptly returned to the Gray Bar Hotel when his lift home from prison took a wild turn. Well, moments after Isaiah Walker got out of prison, he stopped to talk with a truck driver. As the trucker agreed to give him a lift, Walker took advantage and forced him out of the cab. Police say Walker took off in the semi, which was carrying about a dozen brand new Corvettes.
Whoa.
Worth more than $1.25 million. Once Walker was caught, he said the Corvettes weren't the reason he stole the semi. He claims he just needed transportation to get home.
Because that doesn't stand out.
Yeah. Well, and the judge is going to go, well, okay.
Of course, sure, that makes sense.
That makes complete sense if you're going to do that.
I mean, on a more serious note, like, why aren't arrangements made, once somebody is released from prison to make sure that they get from point A to point B?
In all the movies, they just walk out and I think they
somebody's supposed to pick them up.
I think they give them like
pick Jacob.
$50 and that's it, right? Or something like that. Like in the movies they do.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I think of the Shawshank Redemption with Brooks, and he couldn't handle it. He wanted to go back inside.
To go back
I
in.
wonder if this guy wanted to go back inside as well. Luckily, he didn't wreck any of the Corvettes, which is good. We go now to the TMI files. Chrissy Teigen recently shared her mind wanders during, sexy time with her husband, John Legend. The pair married 10 years ago. They have 4 kids. During a recent appearance on the Drew Barrymore show, Teigen says her mind wanders all the time. She thinks of things like, is my door locked? Is my spray tan coming off? The cookbook author, that's what we're calling her?
Yeah.
That's what
That's what she's
known for. Okay, offered no advice when it comes to making relationship works, only to find someone who you consider great. And she's pretty open about where she is with her relationship. And if she's not, she'll tell you almost in any interview as well. And who doesn't though? I guess you have to. If you're focusing too much, maybe you're not doing it right.
Especially in this age of, ADD, I think we all suffer from that with our phones and with it's information constantly coming toward us. It's hard to turn this off.
I could see, I'm surprised she didn't mention is the door locked and that sort of thing, but like motherly things. And I'm not coming down on her, but like, oh my gosh, tomorrow I got to go do this and that. Because moms have to do all these things and dads will probably have to go to work. Maybe that's not the case. Who knows? We go now to, Chrissy Teigen, to a houseboat. And if those are actually looking to avoid Boston's sky-high housing prices, a houseboat might actually be a great alternative for those already to buy a home. As we look at our house for sale, this houseboat is seeking a new captain to the tune of $299,000. Listed as a studio apartment with 500 square feet of living space. The lifestyle of living on a boat offers comforts of a home and the freedom of being on the water. It's really nice. Value adds included panoramic water views. I guess so if you're on a boat.
There's a view from every room.
Exactly. The open concept floor plan, the living, dining, sleeping, and kitchen areas, all within arm's reach. Right now, average price for a home in Boston, $969,000. And Google searches for how to live on a boat increased by more than 70% over the past year.
Wow.
You have that, you got to pay for the slip too. A lot of people forget about that. And that's like
Yes.
your homeowners association. And those slips can get really expensive to where you park your boat.
What do you do in the winter?
That's got to be another thing, right? Especially if if
In
ice forms or even,
Boston?
but it's got to be cold. You're on the water. How do you stay warm?
I'm not sure. Do you go somewhere south for the winter?
Maybe. Oh yeah. Well, then you
Maybe
could.
you
Your
do.
whole house can go. So think of that. You
I
come
always
down
feel
to
like
Florida.
disgruntled investigators live on houseboats.
Oh, yes.
From the 80s.
From the-
Every
from the 80s.
disgruntled
Private
investigator.
Eyes.
Yeah, private eyes live on
Remington
houseboats.
Like,
Steel.
Yes.
Quincy, I think, lived on it. Quincy, remember, he lived on a boat. I think so. I think he did. I don't know. But I tell you what, if you're looking for a good relationship and maybe just different matters of your relationship, we got our relationship refresh coming up right after this.
Open concept. I like
Open
that.
concept.
Like, what else would it be?
Welcome back to Daily Flash. Fabian Marcano from Daily Flash Latino joins us now for our relationship refresh.
Hi guys, pleasure to be here. Guys, I have a real big question.
Okay.
How would you feel if your partner was doing OnlyFans? But here's the catch. They're making 6 figures.
Okay, now, and I know about it, or I found out about it.
Let's say you found out about it.
Oh.
Let's say you found out about it. Here's an example, right? There's an aerospace engineer that was making 6 figures already with his career. But on the side, on a lunch break, he was doing his OnlyFans gig. And on the part-time gig, I guess with the time he had, it was adding up to a lot of money, and he got fired right at that lunch break when he came back from work. So, I mean, it also continues into, I guess, the workplace. Is it a financial decision? Is it cool if it's a financial decision? Right?
I think I would hope, number one, that any kind of relationship, if you're a couple or whatever, you would know that, hey, you're doing this OnlyFans thing. Because then I'd be like, what else are you doing that I don't know about? And that sort of thing. And there had to be some kind of conversation prior to that for them to do that. And third, there has to be somebody behind the camera.
Well, not necessarily.
Wait,
You
there
gotta-
could be some, you could maybe put the phone somewhere, I guess.
Maybe there's a selfie stick or
Right.
a ring light and a remote.
The catch is they are making loads of money in this process. So, I mean, I guess would the financial part of it, I guess, make it
Yes.
easier for you?
It seems like it has been for a number of people who've been caught up in these OnlyFans controversies where, look, the guy should not be doing it on his lunch break. I'm sorry, but you're at work. If you want to do it after work, then, that's kind of
Keep
your
your
thing.
part-time gigs to the part-time, right?
Exactly. But I think, a lot of these people, once they start making this kind of money, they think, oh gosh, this is great. It's a cash cow, right?
Yeah.
But it's also a trust factor. Like, not just with your business and your employer, if you're doing that on your lunch break, how can they trust you to actually complete your tasks?
Wow.
And the girlfriend or the boyfriend of whoever's doing it, same thing. It's a trust factor, especially if they don't know about it.
Yeah.
Sounds like priorities. If I was an employer, I would say, well, what is your priority right
Yes.
now? Apparently, the argument could be, well, it's my lunch break. I can do whatever I want. But also, too, you're also representing my company. So what is your priority,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
It actually makes me think a little bit about it because I feel like the companies might actually take more of a precaution with you doing OnlyFans than a person that's just regularly, just working for their career.
I agree.
Another story I have is actually, it kind of correlates. How would you feel about a partner having a close relationship or a friendship with someone of the opposite gender and they hang out one-on-one?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
this is a
I've
thing.
been through this. It's not good.
It's not good.
And when I was younger, it drove me nuts.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty young, right? And I feel kind of jealous about that stuff.
yeah.
It gets me riled up. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how you guys feel.
I think having more relationships and maturing through those relationships, you sort of like, I don't really care.
Yeah, you get to that point. I think if you were going to that other person of the opposite sex and you're giving very intimate details or issues, you shouldn't be doing that with the person that you're supposed to be with. On the same token, you kind of wonder, well, if I can't go to that person because that's the person I'm having an issue with, and if you are directing all of it to your friend or whatever, obviously something's missing out. So there needs to be some kind of communication there between the couple.
I actually like the way you put that, Mitch, because that makes me think possibly wouldn't that other person actually know a little bit more about your relationship?
Yeah.
Which
At
is
times they could maybe have some more secrets that you might not
that's
even
a
have
good
heard
point.
of.
Yeah.
And you can paint the picture to that other person as much as you want, because you're like, well, I really don't have much committed to you other than just friendship.
Exactly.
Who I am. So
You
I
look
can
like
see
the
that.
great guy, you know. I'm like, I'm always doing everything right, and she's always making me mad, you know. Like she's always, I get problems with her all the time, and then imagine the person, I guess, explains those problems to that one person that they have a friendship with, who I guess, quote unquote, is hanging out one-on-one is cool, you know? Like,
I think the key to is opposite sex. If I know that my boyfriend has a best girlfriend, I know they're discussing our relationship, and that I would have a problem with. However, if he's hanging out with his guy friend and they're discussing it, I guess I don't know. I would take a different approach.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
I mean,
I don't know if
never
I'd
really thought
feel
about
as threatened.
You know, what about, I would imagine the relationships, generally, if you're finding somebody really close while you're already with somebody, it's like, wait a minute, why are you even looking out? But if you inherited, the relationship inherited those friends, that makes it a little bit more difficult, I bet.
This also brings me to our last topic of the day. Is it essential for couples to have similar life goals in order to succeed in a relationship nowadays?
Ooh, that's a good
You have to, I mean, in my
question.
opinion, I think you should have somewhat of a similar way of going at it, I think, but I've seen it work every way.
Well, I'm going through this now. So we talk about retirement, and we're like, do you want to get a small little van and just travel the world, or do you want to move maybe closer to your kids and that sort of thing? Now, if me, I want to travel the world once I retire, and Liza's not really 100% on board. She says, I've already seen the world. There's really not a whole much I really don't want to see
She
after
likes
that.
to be at home.
So we have to figure something
Yeah.
out. So in that aspect, no, we're not. But there has to be a compromise where, okay, we'll stay here in this house, but we'll also travel maybe every other month or something like that.
I think that if you've got work goals, if one person's not motivated and they're at home and they're not doing anything, they're trying to find a career, and you've got somebody else who's a total go-getter, I think eventually that wears on a relationship.
That's where I was getting at, Andrea.
Yeah.
I feel like when you are complete opposites, it
Yeah.
makes it actually a big difference in that relationship. I feel like it could, take a drastic turn.
What I've always felt like is that when you go into a relationship, it's what they teach in the Boy Scouts is you go to a campground. When you leave the campground, it's got to be better than it was before. All right? That's about. So if you go into a relationship, you should be working and working and making each other better by all means. But with that is sacrifice and compromise.
But don't you find you're a different person in a relationship today than you were 10 years ago?
Jackson, Jackson knows. I would hope that I am, and I've grown up a lot.
But I think that's part
Yes.
of what's great about relationships is you should be learning something from each one and
Absolutely.
changing with it as you go.
And I love the Boy Scout reference. I think we should all be great Boy Scouts out there. That's amazing.
Your campgrounds, they got to look better than when you found them, all right?
Fabian, thank you.
Thank you
Great
guys. Thank you
stuff.
guys.
You, of course, can check out Fabian on Daily Flash Latino. Go to dailyflashlatino.com for more details and airtimes.
In this week's Boss Lady, we turn our attention to the women of NASA. Artemis, the twin sister of Apollo and goddess of the moon, is not only their latest mission to the moon program, it's also the perfect symbol for a new crew of women on the next great space mission.
When I was a little girl, I wanted to be an astronaut.
A scientist,
a doctor,
a fighter pilot.
When I was a little girl, I wanted to grow up to be strong and independent.
When we were asked to draw a picture of what we wanted to be when we grew up, I drew an astronaut standing on the surface of the moon.
All I thought about was when I was going to get to NASA.
It's a huge honor to be NASA's first female launch director. To be the launch director for Artemis. NASA has so many wonderful women pioneers, so many heroes to me.
Some of the most amazing women in my eyes are people like Katherine Johnson and the other women that you've seen in Hidden Figures.
Sometimes it's difficult to believe that I'm on this side now, wearing this blue flight suit with all of the other astronauts, representing this iconic image that had so inspired and excited me my entire life.
Being of South Asian heritage, Kaplan was just such a big thing for me growing up.
I've always looked up to Sally Ride and Mae Jemison, who really laid the foundation to allow people like me to be in the position that I am now.
All of these women were pushing those boundaries and breaking those glass ceilings.
Now, of course, there are some fantastic women in leadership positions that inspire me every day.
So much has changed since the Apollo program. During the Apollo 11 launch, we had one woman, one out of 400 engineers in the room. And I look at our team today, it's much more a reflection of the world that we live in.
A big piece of why it's so important to have women and diverse backgrounds, because it allows us to bring everybody along with us on this journey.
It doesn't really matter what you look like. If you've got the brains and you have the knowledge, we need you at the table.
We are at such an exciting time in human spaceflight right now, and Artemis is such a huge part of that.
We haven't been to the moon in many, many years. We have a lot of younger generation folks that have never seen that happen.
We will understand so much more about the moon, about the Earth, about our solar system.
We're going to stay. And to me, that's an amazing idea. The moon is going to be the blueprint for how we go to Mars and out into the solar system and maybe beyond.
It is incredibly exciting to be part of this Artemis team. It still feels pretty surreal to think that I might one day walk on the moon.
To see a woman and a person of color on the surface of the moon, to be able to say that space is for everyone and that we go to space to make life better here on Earth for everyone. I know that tears will be in my eyes.
My message to women and girls out there is to find your passion, whatever that is.
Don't let anyone tell you what you can do or can't do. Only you can realize your dreams.
Space is for everyone. And if me being in this role helps to send that message, I think that's a great thing.
And I just actually love that I don't feel like a woman at NASA. I just feel like a person at NASA.
The women of NASA are Artemis, and we make a difference every day.
I am NASA's Spacewalk Office Hardware Manager.
I'm the Program Scientist for Space Biology.
I'm the Director of NASA's Johnson Space Center.
I am Artemis.
I am Artemis.
私はアルテミスです。Yo soy Artemis.
Us some Artemis.
Anna.
Je suis.
Ich bin
I
Artemis.
am Artemis.
I am Artemis.
Expect to see the first woman walk the surface of the moon thanks to the Artemis mission. And did you know Pearl Young was the first woman hired as a physicist? Back in 1922, she worked for the National Advisory Committee of Aeronautics, which would later become NASA. And today there are many women in leadership at NASA. As you just met Charlie Blackwell Thompson. She's the launch director.
Love that. You know, there are 60 years from when we took flight in an airplane to get up to the moon. But think about, like, why is it like, where haven't we had a launch director that was a woman by now? You know, the time-wise that has happened since 1969 and that sort of thing. And, you know, how and now all these great movies are coming out about how women played a huge part that were basically in the crux of the history, so that you never hear about.
Hidden Figures was such an incredible movie, and you know, showing you the history and of course the dynamics of the time too, with race relations really kind of changing. And you know, if there's truth to that movie and the Kevin Costner character, I think he did a lot to change things.
If we have that, you know, and again, it's all about unity, and this is an organization that has to work together no matter what, and you know, just seeing beyond race, color, as well as maybe even gender, we can do so many great things. So it's great to see stuff like this.
It still boggles my mind that we can actually see pictures from space. We can get, you know, video transmissions. I am still blown away by that ability to do that from another planet or the moon.
I did an interview one time with an astronaut on International Space Station, and it's still like that same feeling you have. It was like, wow, I talked to somebody in outer space. It's really, really cool.
All right, much more to come here on Daily Flash. Stay with us. To the moon!
To the moon, Alice!
This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everybody. I am Mitch English.
I'm Andrea Jackson. This is Daily Flash, your source for trending news and entertainment.
All right, Matt Doolittle, we'll be checking in with him just a little bit later on. And Nebraska, I'm going to let everybody know, Thibodeau, the alligator, is fine. Okay.
An alligator in Nebraska.
At a zoo here. You'll love this. You know when there's a little sign that says, do not throw coins into the pond or whatever? Or you can probably see where the story's headed. There's a zoo in Nebraska called the Dorley Zoo. Well, Thibodeau, the alligator, was not feeling well. And he's like, boy, he's kind of moving around slow. So we better do some studies on him. And so they got him out, did all kinds of blood work, couldn't figure it out, looked at his stomach. all of this change was in it. So $70 worth of change, $70. My question is, they got it all out. He was fine. They had to put a tube down the alligator's mouth to get it all out. But who gets to keep that money?
It goes to an alligator fund.
I say the doctor gets to keep it.
I mean, finders keepers, right?
Finders keepers.
And it's good luck because it came out of a gator.
The only thing we're supposed to feed gators and crocodiles, we learned from Peter Pan, was alarm clocks, right?
Yeah.
So then we know.
And pirate hands.
And pirate hands,
Yes.
right. And legs. And
Did we vacuum up all the loose change
so they
left behind?
They wound up doing that and then made a bigger sign to tell people, do not throw coins. And then they actually made a place where if you want to donate, that we have this little pot right here. Just put it in here. Don't throw it into the thing because the alligator's going to eat it.
Have you been to the alligator farm up in St. Augustine?
I've not.
Oh my gosh, it's terrific. It's kind of like Gatorland, but it's called the alligator farm. And they've got a pond where you can throw coins into, which is separate from the gators, but it at least gives you that option to do that.
And speaking of Gatorland, I got to go down and do one of the, and you know, anybody can keep their mouth shut.
Yeah.
But you can't, seriously, you can just put your hand on it and they don't have the muscles for this, but the other way around, they don't. So I didn't want to find out how that could be done.
Did you feed the gators at Gatorland?
I did. I fed them big old chickens.
Big old
They're
chickens,
fun, right?
yeah, exactly. Well, a Powerball player claims he was denied a life-changing jackpot worth $340 million despite his numbers matching the lottery's website. The company claims the winning numbers posted on the website were a mistake. John Cheeks bought a Powerball ticket in January of 2023. He missed the live drawing and instead checked his numbers the following day online. He says all his numbers matched the ones posted on the website. So when he tried to cash in his ticket, he was told he did not have a winning ticket. John has since hired an attorney who believes something needs to be done for his client to make up for the website error. The ticket remains in a safe deposit box in the event the Lotto Committee makes a change.
I think he should get something, maybe another lottery ticket. You know, I don't know. That way he could at least say he won something. But again, don't they have like it's on video, right?
He missed the broadcast when they pulled the numbers, so he just went to the website. And sometimes it takes him a while to update the website, so it's possible those numbers were from a previous game.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I'm sure somewhere in the fine print, somewhere it says, only verified numbers from the lottery's office will win this ticket.
And I'm sure that fine print that nobody can read, especially my end, I'm like, I can't read this anyway. I bet you it says something like that as well. Well, you're somewhat of an equestrian, right?
Yes.
Well, an Olympic equestrian may have actually jeopardized his spot at the 2024 Paris Games. Why? For wearing a mankini during a recent charity event. Is that frowned upon? Is that Shane Rose. He is a 3-time Olympic champ. He's from Australia. There he is.
He went Borat.
Was immediately sidelined. Yeah, he did, because of his Borat costume. The 50-year-old equestrian to me hurts.
It looks uncomfortable.
It is.
And on a horse where it's doing all the galloping, get this.
He put it. He was wearing a mankini. He also had a gorilla suit and a beer costume. Complaints. Everybody's going to complain about the man thong because young kids were attending the horse show. Rose captured silver in the 2008 and 2020 Olympics in Beijing as well as Tokyo. He also won the bronze in the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. Final selections for the Australian equestrian Olympic team will be revealed in June. I want this guy on. That's the kind of guy. That's my Olympian. That's what I want. Somebody that can do that.
Can we get him on via Zoom? That'd be fun.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Just know if you're going to wear a mankini and hang out with horses, you better bring something to the table.
They do these special, right? Exactly. They
do
these special charity events at the horse shows, and everybody dresses up in costumes. So part of it is a costume contest, and you dress your horse up too.
So why?
Well, I think his kids were there, and he was naked underneath the mankini.
Well, we all are. I'm naked under this, if you think about it.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. Here's Fabian Marcano with this week's The Beat.
The music industry is known to be an incredible entertainment business, but sometimes you have to shed some light to the dark side of the industry. Recently, artist managers and entertainment attorneys say it's become increasingly common for artists to put out albums first just to figure out all the clearances and payments later. Here's an example. While Travis Scott performed 3 songs at the Grammys earlier this month, his team of producers and songwriters who helped make his hit album Utopia weren't even paid yet. Utopia came out more than 6 months ago and went on to become one of the biggest releases of the year. According to 4 sources close to the project, once it released, at least four of the producers and writers involved in the album still didn't have producer agreements or publishing splits finalized, meaning they cannot get fully compensated for their work. Although artists are often enjoy revenue streams outside of the recorded music, the same is not true for most songwriters and producers. Writers are usually financially dependent on publishing royalties from the songs they work on, and producers typically depend on a mix of master royalties, which is often just in advance unless an album recoups its budget, which is very, very rare. Plus, publishing royalties are only paid if they contributed to songwriting. This means the most famous writers and producers are already in a financial situation. On top of that, massively successful artists are often slow to finalize those deals that dictate what percentage royalties writers and producers are owed. Once an album is released, artists often hit the road, meaning their attention and their team's attention is focused elsewhere. And as the months go by, the collaborators' frustrations grow. So the only other option is to try to take down the track or sue the artist who put it out without a signed produced agreement in place. But of course, writers and producers hardly ever take this route, and they try to stay in good graces of the artist since lawsuits are costly and they're also time consuming, which leads me to ask, when will there be a change? Wouldn't you want the people that help make your hit songs to be happy too? In other news, I'll tell you who didn't seem so bothered after a little stage mishap. I'm talking about Madonna, baby. The queen of pop kept the song and the show going seamlessly and laughs off her onstage fall after one of the dancers trips and drops her. Now remember, you're not laughing at Madonna, you're laughing with Madonna. In multiple videos shared online, Madonna is seen performing her 1987 hit Open Your Heart during her second night of the Celebration tour in the Emerald City when her show hit a little bump. The 7-time Grammy winner was sitting on a chair and singing to a camera while a male dancer in stiletto heels begins to tilt her seat back and pulls her along the stage while running. I don't even understand. He suddenly slips and falls, taking Madonna down with him. Now the superstar continues rolling on, and she's still singing on the floor before hitting a smile and laughing it off. Nothing can really stop Madonna, not even the hospital, especially when an infection almost ruined the tour for her and her fans back when it announced in January of 2023. She managed to handle that like a pro also, and started her sold-out shows in London and is set to finish in late April in Mexico City. For those of you still wondering, by the way, yes, the Taylor Swift effect is real. Just ask Jason Kelce. While appearing on Shaquille O'Neal's podcast, the Philadelphia Eagles center opened up about the extreme pros and cons of the new level of fame he and his family reached after Travis Kelce began dating Taylor Swift last year. Jason has become a beloved icon in the Swiftie universe in the months since the singer went public with her relationship in September. A very cool pro about the relationship is how their families have had the chance to spend time together, even at the Super Bowl or at the after party, celebrating another championship, but this time with a 14-time Grammy winner. Another pro is Jason Kelce gets introduced by Taylor Swift to incredibly famous people like the legend Paul McCartney or Ice Spice. However, there are some downfalls, and I mean, that means Travis Kelce's house gets bombarded by fans. That's pretty crazy. This is The Beat. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you tune in on dailyflashlatino.com for more information.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Andrea Jackson. So you have an idea for a product, but you're not sure how to get it on store shelves. Maybe you're worried someone else will beat you to it, or worse, AI could take credit. Showing us the way is Robert Kay. He is the founder of Elite Engineering. Robert, welcome to Daily Flash.
Thank you, Andrea. It's great to be here.
So what's the best way to take an idea, turn it into something, and then bring it to market?
The very first thing is, if you're the inventor, you have to recognize that you're going to make a transition from being an inventor to being a business person. And as soon as you do that, you need to recognize that over 44% of all startups fail due to lack of funds. So you've got to go out and raise enough money or have enough money in order to push things through. And what inventors often don't recognize is that the number one priority you'll have once you get started is actually marketing. You have to make sure you understand who your customers are and what their pain points are and why they would want to buy your product. Then you have to figure out what the cost is going to take to get your early prototypes. And very often this is where people fall down because they figure they could sell something for $1.98. The problem is it's going to take about 100 times that cost to get your early prototypes out to capture your early adopters. Then you want to protect your idea. If you're going to go for a patent here in the United States, you should plan on at least 25 grand for your first patent. And that doesn't even include if you're trying to go internationally, which could push those costs well over 100 grand. So planning for those kinds of expenses and raising that kind of money is probably one of the most important things you'll do.
Yeah,
and although the inventors, I'm sorry?
And spending that money on a patent doesn't guarantee that you'll get it, which, that's a huge investment in and of itself.
That is correct. And this is where a lot of people fall down as well. They go for somebody who knows how to write a patent. What you really want is somebody who can write a patent and help you with the patent strategy. It's very important that whoever writes the patent understands what your business plan is. This is another area that inventors typically fall down, is because they don't recognize the importance of having a business plan.
What impact does AI have on this process now?
From my perspective, it's a great tool. It's not something to be afraid of. It's just like when calculators came out, it allowed engineers to do things that took a long time before. So we use AI for helping us figure out strategies, what things are trending in the marketplace. So if you think of it as a tool, a new inventor can use this as a way to do market exploration in a way that you couldn't do it in the past. You have access to something that's actually very smart in that regard, or very knowledgeable at the least.
Robert, when should you start working on getting and raising capital for your project? And, I guess we should mention here, sometimes you're the idea person, but not necessarily the business person.
That's exactly right. And I will tell you, everybody that I know who has gone out to fundraise, myself including, will tell you it is the single most difficult thing you will do. It is harder to do than to understand quantum mechanics.
Wow.
So the sooner you start it, the better. And so we always tell people, you were supposed to start yesterday, not today.
Gotcha, Robert. Thank you so much. For more information on how to take your idea to market, check out the dailyflashshow.com website. Okay, time now to turn our attention to something else. Job seekers up next. AARP has some tips for older Americans who might be looking for a new job. Check this out.
New research shows older workers' overall contribution to the labor force is growing, yet 64% of workers over the age of 50 believe they face age discrimination in the workplace. Carly Ruskowski of AARP shares more.
Given employers' need for talent in a tight labor market, it makes great business sense to hire experienced workers. Research shows that 77% of all workers say that they value older colleagues for the skills and experience they bring to the job. At AARP, we want to make sure older job seekers know how to best highlight their skills.
Throughout the month of February, AARP is offering free interactive virtual workshops for job seekers over the age 50.
These workshops will focus on age-proofing your resume, networking, honing your interview skills, and avoiding work-from-home scams. Participants will also receive a free digital job search toolkit.
To learn more, visit aarp.org/work. Again, that's aarp.org/work.
All right, it took a short, amazing 14 months from the time the site was determined when construction began. It will be the new home of Scout Motors, the brand new all-electric trucks and rugged SUVs that will create thousands of jobs and create even more opportunities for the entire Carolinas.
Remember this moment, because this is going to be one of those moments where you can say, I was there. I was there when this iconic brand became a beloved American icon that's going to not only drive the beautiful roads of Blythewood and South Carolina, but all the way out to California and all the way across the globe.
South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster joined with Scout Motors President and CEO Scott Keogh at the construction site to witness the state-of-the-art manufacturing plant under construction to produce the new Scout Motor EVS, where it will build next-generation all-electric trucks and rugged SUVs, harkening back to the iconic Scout vehicles produced from 1960 through 1980.
America's a winner. This is going to be American jobs. We're going to make an awesome American car, and we're going to restore an American icon to its just due. I think in many regards, Scout was ahead of the curve. It was before its time. Well, now is going to be its time. So I think that's big.
It's a dream come true. We haven't had an investment like this in the middle part of the state.
And a lot of people are very happy about this. Number one, it is a great company. We see our success as a state, as a people, based on our environmental and cultural heritage, our excellence in education, and our strategic and careful economic growth. And this right here, this new Scout investment covers all three of those.
The Scout Motors Production Center, a $2 billion investment, has the potential of creating more than 4,000 jobs. At full capacity, more than 200,000 Scout vehicles may be produced annually at the facility.
What we're doing today is setting the direction of being able to be whatever the time will ask from us. And yes, it will go in towards carbon neutrality. The growth of the factory we will still see this year. Equipment and everything that belongs inside, that will be something we will see next year.
The site spans approximately 1,600 acres, with the plant itself occupying 1,100 acres, less than 20 miles north of Columbia and near major cities and talent hubs such as Charleston, Charlotte, Greenville, and Atlanta. This proximity gives Scout Motors unrivaled access to major highways, ports of Charleston and Savannah, as well as colleges and universities focused on automotive engineering.
We show the concept car, we show the vehicle to America this summer, and then we blitz towards ramp up. And so we'll have started production in late 26, full volume rollout in 27. We're in love, America's in love, and Scout is back. So it's going to be a great time.
Wow, very exciting. The South Carolina University system will introduce new and more engineering science and technology into its curriculum to allow students to not only be educated in that state, but also pursue high-skilled jobs that will soon be available. Very, very cool. We got more Flash coming up right around the corner. Don't you go anywhere. Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. It's time for us to look at the lifestyles of the rich and famous as we dive into some celebrity real estate.
Okay, let's start with Rick and Kathy Hilton, who have decided to sell their longtime Hamptons family home.
wow.
The Hamptons, The Southampton estate has been a sanctuary for the Hilton family for many years, and now it can be yours for a mere $15 million. You'll get more than 10,000 square feet of living space featuring 6 bedrooms. The residence is situated on nearly 3 acres of land inside of a gated community. The home was built back in the 90s and also includes 3 wood-burning fireplaces, high ceilings, and the classic Hamptons architecture.
Wow.
The outdoor living space includes a swimming pool, an outdoor dining pavilion, and terraces for soaking up the summer sun.
In the Hamptons. That's gorgeous, by all means. I love it.
Beautiful?
All right, it has been a year-long saga for Jim Carrey, who's been trying to part ways with his California mansion. The Hollywood star has dropped the price a few times in an effort to unload the luxury property. Carrey first put in on the market for a jaw-dropping $29 million. It's now listed for $24 million. Carrey says his lifestyle and priorities have changed, which is why he wants to sell the home despite living in it for the last 3 decades. The estate was built back in 1951, sold to Carrey in 94 for $3.5 million. The 12,000 square foot home is surrounded by nearly 2 acres of land. The home also features an Art Deco theater, a lighted tennis court, waterfall pool, spa gardens, and a guest house, and lots of laughs, I'm sure, were there in that
Look
house.
at that screening room.
Isn't that crazy?
That's pretty cool. Well, the house featured in the Brady Bunch hit the market last June for a cool $5.5 million, and it just sold for $3.2 million.
Oh.
A 53-year-old fan named Tina Tran purchased the property. Now, it was originally built in 1959 in the Studio City neighborhood of Los Angeles. The 2-story home has just over 5,000 square feet of living space with a mid-century modern vibe. The interior of the home was rebuilt to replicate the set of the popular TV show. The buyer says she doesn't plan on living in the house. She just wants to use it for fundraising and charity events. The fan admits the house was a terrible investment because it's not really livable, but more like a work of art.
Because if you want to move into a 1960s, 70s home, you would buy a 1960s, 70s home without that big price tag.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, that's too bad. We want to thank you for spending time with us in our home.
Yeah, head to our website, dailyflashshow.com, for anything you've seen on the show today. Be good, everybody.